Hello, everybody. I'm sorry, Friday, September the 5th. So 9/5, we're in September. I am Keisha. I'm one half of the host of the Regal Mindset Podcast show. I've got a slightly different setup here, so just work with me. But Jay, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Right. I am Dr. Joy, the coach. I am the other half of the Regal Mindset Show. And listen, Keisha is killing it tonight. Oh, she is killing it.
Well, listen, just as I mentioned, I had a couple things I had to do earlier, and
Mhm.
I wanted to shoot some content, and so that's what I've been doing a good portion of the day. But we are talking about therapy isn't taboo, right? And again,
Mhm.
this kind of fall, well, not kind of, it does fall under one of the pillars that we have here at Regal Mindset. Again, we focus on the well-being of the LGBTQ community, just
Mhm.
redefining and reimagining what life would look like in terms of how family, of course, our finances, our mental and physical health. And
Mhm.
tonight, or for the next few weeks, we're tackling the mental and physical health of the LGBTQ community, and a part of that is therapy, and
Mhm.
why, or I should say, we're going to have a conversation as to why we feel like some people, most people, maybe feel as though it's a taboo subject. Do
Right,
you
right,
agree?
right. Um, I did.
Okay.
I would say I did. Back in the day, I thought it was taboo because that's the way I was raised, growing up, and where any issue was ignored. You were told to be quiet. You were told to go depress those dishes. So, so it's
Okay.
like it was very taboo for a black person, especially a black man,
Mm,
to go to a therapist. But now I'm going to flip the script and say it's what's the word?
desensitized,
No. When they overdoing it. Um,
uh, overstimulated, or
no,
over exaggerated.
I'm gonna just say they just overdoing it. It's
Okay.
like not saying you shouldn't do it, but I think now everybody has an issue. That's a trauma that I just got. Oh, some of it's like, come on now, that's you. You got to
Right.
own it.
Right. Right.
Over
No,
sensationalized. That's it. Sensationalized.
okay.
Yeah,
I
over
love it.
sensationalized. Okay.
Okay. No, I would agree. I think that to some degree, right? Because
Mhm.
I do think that it is warranted, and I do think that it is imperative that we do create more of a normalcy
Mhm.
around seeking therapy at one,
Right.
and two, making sure that those who actually need it are
Mhm.
actually using it for what it's worth, and not just going in there wasting those people hour of time and just going on about your business without actually
Right.
unpacking that suitcase and really getting down to what's in it and figuring out how to sort it out.
Right.
So I think that's important, and like you said, maybe it is over what was it,
Sensationalized.
sensationalized. um Maybe to some people, maybe.
But you brought up a good point in that statement. You said that they need to go in there and unpack it.
Yes.
The therapist only going to help you for what you're willing to divulge. So if you're not willing to be honest and willing to actually have a full conversation and actually going in and that's just in all honesty, then they can't help you any more than what you give them.
Right.
And, and I think that's also a big issue because um, and maybe some therapists, not the one that I have, she's very intuitive. She's spiritual. She has really good discernment. So it don't even help you to go in there and lie.
That's good.
Yeah. And I think we need more of those because then um, that will help the person like realize like, okay, you're playing me. And I can't help navigate, or give you any coping skills or help guide you in the right way because you're lying. So I'm guiding you down the lie when the truth is you're the problem.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't want to hear that they're the problem.
Ooh, Man, that's a good point. I think some of that stems from because when you're looking at the mirror, and a lot of times when people point those flaws out,
Mhm.
that's not the person that you necessarily see or that you want to see, right? Because those are two different things. And if we don't acknowledge that sometimes that those two things can even be true, right? Sometimes what people's
Mhm.
what they see and observe from you, it can be very true. And
Right.
you just want to filter it through your own lens and or sugarcoat it and create a different type of narrative because that's more comfortable for you. But in reality,
Mhm.
you really are the devil. Or what?
Yeah. No, you're right. You are, because that is where accountability comes in.
Yeah.
That and right now another thing that's very um sensationalized is narcissism and
Oh,
narcissists, because everybody think a person is a narcissist when there's a clinical diagnosis and men are at the top of being diagnosed as a narcissist than a woman. That's one. Now
yeah.
people can have narcissistic behavior. That doesn't make them a narcissist. um, and that's just the bottom line. And then when people, you hold them accountable, then they want to find, and I know several, and I'm not calling no names, but I know several that if you bring the situation to them, they would find every reason why it was not them.
Ah,
And you're sitting there like, I saw you with my own eyes. But see, you don't understand, because when the day before when you wasn't there, no, we're not. And that's where true friendship lacks, because as a friend, I should be able to, and you should be able to come to me and say, yeah, this is that. But no. But with the whole therapist thing, um, my point about it being sensationalized is that, again, the lack of honesty. You're going in there with some form of deception because you want somebody on your side. You
mm,
want somebody to hear you stroke the fact that you were traumatized, right?
yeah.
And I'm not dismissing the trauma. Everybody has had some form of trauma.
Yeah.
Now, our trauma could be different, where we can look at a person and say, well, you had everything you wanted, blah, blah, you had a good life. But their trauma is, well, my parents really didn't like me, so they just paid for me to make stay out of their way. Okay, then that's your trauma. I may have had a trauma of being poor, but I had a mom that paid attention. So everybody got their own level of trauma, but then all things don't classify as trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So again, therapy, I thought it was taboo, but I really feel that it's necessary. But I think some, I'm not gonna call out the generations either, is overdoing it.
Yeah. Yeah. I can agree with that to a degree, right? And I
Mhm.
think that some of the misconception about therapy even is also that it is just for people who are in crisis, and it is
Mhm.
not. In my opinion, I think that it's also for growth, it's for clarity, and it's also for building tools, right?
Mhm.
All of those things are helpful with us to be able to navigate the different stages and phases of life, right?
Mhm.
Me particularly, and I'll be transparent. I had a situation maybe a few years ago that just kind of unfolded over a weekend and totally, I'll say, blew my wig back.
Oh, come on, Wig.
I was not prepared. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Some of us can reflect back on moments in our life where we think everything is going fine, and then you hit this roadblock, and then you have no idea how to deal with the situation that's going on. So for
Right.
me, I knew I did not have the tools to deal with that situation. I immediately called my therapist and got back on her calendar to sort out what things belong to me,
Mhm.
how I needed to address it. What's up, Cuzzo? And how I needed to move forward in a healthy space, right? And
Mhm.
to make sure that my home was intact, and so that no one else, if they did not already have counseling, then they need to seek counseling.
Got
So
it.
it's not just for people, in my opinion, who are in crisis mode or who stay in a crisis mode.
Mhm. No, and that's really good, because some
Yeah,
people do wait till the last minute. They don't know that they need that checkup or that tune up,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
But then, in the same sense, you have to be mature enough to know that, yeah, it's time for me to reach out.
yeah,
I was immature on a lot of levels in that aspect, because I thought it was taboo. I felt like it was taboo. I felt like I could navigate it myself. I knew how to
that's good.
disassociate, yeah, and move on with it. But then when I went through the grief with my mom,
Mm,
that opened up a whole nother can of worms. Then
good.
just talking with someone helped me realize other things. But I'm also going to say that that's my cousin right there too. His name is
Hey,
Daquan. I
cousin.
love Daquan. And so another thing that I wanted to bring up about that is the type of therapist.
Okay.
It may sound prejudiced, and I don't care,
Okay.
but I had a great white therapist.
Okay.
She was awesome. She could not relate on so many different levels to it. It felt like I was teaching her
Ooh,
during our sessions. She
that's a
was
good point.
asking questions for her understanding, not for my help. And so I was with her for a while. We had great relationship, good, and she stuck with me, and she gave me a lot of great skills to be able to navigate things. But at the end of the day, when I'm discussing traumas and experiences
Yeah.
that are black, she was like, I never thought that could, yeah.
Culturally, really. Yeah.
Yeah, culturally, she could not match. And then it turns into, oh well, you just have complex PTSD. No, that's a junk drawer where you just threw everything in.
Good point.
That's a diagnosis for a junk drawer. That's just what
Yeah.
that is. So it's like, no, I mean I get it, but you can't throw everything into the junk drawer.
Right.
The batteries in there, everything is in there. You got sauce packages and
Yeah.
duck
That
sauce.
Chinese. Yeah. Duck
Yeah,
sauce.
right. In the junk drawer, you got paper, you got old instructions, you got
Yeah.
everything.
That
And
medication you
so,
don't take no more.
exactly. So it's kind of like, I can't be in the junk drawer. I
Yeah.
really am looking for, and like in some of the traumas that I expressed to her,
Yeah.
she couldn't handle it.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was
Okay.
actually years ago,
Yeah.
years ago. I got a therapist after I got out of therapy from a PTSD situation that happened at work. So I
Okay.
had to go through, because of workman's comp, I had to go through the therapist to talk to them and stuff like that. The therapist couldn't even handle the conversation. She literally told me, she said, I don't think I can assist you in your care. And I'm like, well, the hospital the one sent me to you.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you what happened at the job, and you telling me that that's too much for you. And you might not be in the right field.
We both need to go somewhere else.
So yeah, so so choosing a therapist, you need to look for those things. Not all black people are going to be on your side,
True.
but all and the same says you need somebody that can culturally, connect with you to understand and not put down the notes where you saying I'm frustrated and she's talking about you irritable and this, and next thing you know, you got a record and can't get life insurance because she got in the books that you about to kill yourself.
Yeah. I get that. And you know what? That's also a good point as well, right? And just like we're talking about the therapy being taboo, certainly a taboo subject within the cultural dynamics of African Americans. Two things I want to bring up. Um, yes, it is important, and you may have to, do some trial and error with the therapist that you find or you find yourself with. You have to make sure that you find somebody that is going to be of service to you and help
Right.
you, like you said, unpack those things in that suitcase and not just shove things in a side drawer or junk drawer. That's one
Mhm.
part. And then the other thing, right? We have to dismantle this the myth of what goes in my house or what goes on in my house stays in my house, right?
Right.
That is unhealthy, in my opinion. That is unhealthy, and a lot of African American kids, adults,
Mhm.
children, teens, whomever, grew up with that same thought process or that same mindset. I'll speak for myself. I did, but it is unhealthy, and so
Extremely
again,
unhealthy.
yeah, I think that's a large part again of as to why this conversation is very important. So that the subject of being in therapy or going to a therapist is not taboo.
Right. And to add on to that, it was two things I seen this content creator said
Mm,
that makes this topic even more relevant. He said, we're not going to tell my daughter that if a little boy hits you or push you down, that's just a boy and he likes you. No, you get up and you punch him back, because those are things that we were taught. Well, that's because he like you. No. If you hit my daughter, she got the permission to hit you back, or I might be hitting you. That was one thing because as kids, we're told, you know, the other thing he said was, oh, and about if something happens to you, we're going to normalize you telling me and me handling the situation right then, no matter how it play out. I'm not going to sit there and say, if your uncle or aunt or daddy, anybody, cousin touch you, no, we're not sweeping it. We're not
Yeah.
mopping it. They all be mopping up his blood because that's the only way it's going to end out. Because I'm taking my child's word,
Yeah.
and especially if they can communicate it. Oh, absolutely not. If you could tell, there is no. I remember when I told my mom. My mom called my sisters who are younger than me
Hmm.
to ask them, did it happen? And I'm like, first of all, how insulting is that?
Yeah.
Two, when I worked up the nerve to tell you years, I was way into my adult years, to tell you, you go ask my sisters? No, because we felt unsafe.
Yeah.
And we have to be able to be okay to create a safe space for our children to say, you can tell me anything, and mommy is going to react the way you expect her to.
I love that. I always tell or share with the grandkids that um and their parents that because I mean, kids are going to be kids, right? We know that we were kids at one point. Um, if and when something does happen, you need to say something like you said right away, right? That's
Right.
first. And then my opinion, your parent, right? Your mother, your father, or the two people who are responsible for you, your parental figures. Maybe it's one person, right? So I got to think about everybody's household. That person is your first line of defense, period, point blank.
Mhm. Right.
Anyone there after that person is there to assist the
Right.
the main person,
Right.
right? Or persons, right?
Right.
And so with that being said, we got to figure this thing out, right? So Gwendolyn just said she's going through the same thing right now. Uh, every case is different. But I do feel like those parental figures again should ensure that something is done or the situation is addressed. The child should not have to feel as though they have to handle everything themselves. We don't
Yeah.
want those kind of behaviors to show up in the adult, thinking the little person within was never taken care of. The little person within was never protected, was never secure, never felt
That's it.
safe, right? Otherwise, they're going to be in therapy, I can assure you.
Yeah, and I think that's a big thing. But I want to go to a question that we have. It says, "Does therapy really heal childhood trauma? I have so much inside, and just now thinking about therapy." Did you want to go first?
So Gwendolyn, I would say to that, it would be healthy, in my opinion, to start seeking a therapist to just talk through those things, right? When you're talking to your therapist, just my opinion, in terms of figuring out what those things need to be addressed, that's a way for them to again offer you some tools to be
Right.
able to figure out and work through those things. And they may identify other areas in your life that may need to be addressed, work through, because otherwise they're just going to continue to resurface.
Hmm.
If we think about therapy in terms of go let's say we go to a gym, right? Sometimes we have a
Hmm.
personal trainer, sometimes we go in there, we know how to work the equipment, we may ask one of the people that are employed there to help us work these things out or show me how to use this piece of equipment. Therapy in a lot of ways is that same thing. I
Hmm.
know where I need to go to get help to sort this issue out, right?
Right.
When we get sick, we know we need to go to the doctor. Before we get sick, we know we need to go to the doctor, right?
Right.
So therapy, in a lot of ways, in my opinion, should be handled in the very same manner. Oftentimes, I think before we get to crisis mode, there's something in here in us that we know, hey, there's something wrong. The moment that comes up is when I would reach out to my therapist.
I agree. Well, now the question of, does therapy really heal childhood trauma? The answer is no, because you're not a child anymore. Therapy, just like Keisha said, is going to give you the tools to be able to navigate as you are now so that you can make those changes and cope with it. It's almost like if you ever had open heart surgery, the scar is going to always be there as a reminder. But is your heart working better because they did surgery? Possibly. They might have had to add something in there to help it work better. Don't necessarily mean it healed it because it was never back to its original state. So healing is a process. You would never really be healed because you got memory. You got triggers. And it's many years of you held on and packed it. It's going to take not as just as long, but it's going to take time for you to unpack it, to acknowledge it, and to deal with it. But one of the things that will help, and including therapy, is forgiveness. And I'm glad we brought that question up because what if they are the one that broke you?
Mm.
Um, Forgiveness is, and I know it's hard, but forgiveness is the willingness to forget. Because if you allow your mind to let it go, you won't hold on to the pain while you're navigating through the healing process.
I
And
love
I know it's hard,
that. Hmm.
but you can't, because you have to be okay with sometimes not hearing, I'm sorry. You have to be okay with that because what if that person don't even remember?
Yeah.
What if they really didn't know it hurt your feelings?
Hmm.
What if they didn't? And it could be a lot of levels of abuse and trauma, but people don't take in the hurt the way they gave the hurt.
True.
So the way you interpreted that hurt, maybe the way totally different. So you have to go through those levels of, you know, what if it was me? Not saying it was, especially if it happened to you as a child, but even as an adult, what if it was actually me that caused it? you know, so you go through those levels, and healing is a continue. We're healing every day
Yeah.
because now we're learning how our defense mechanisms were because of childhood trauma. We're
Hmm.
learning through all of that and our responses because we're thinking, well, I'm just in me, myself, and I'm in a world by myself. It's me and me against the world, and that's not even true or healthy. You got to have somebody on your side.
Yeah.
So that's that. So she said,
I'm just going to
that,
add to that real quick. I'm sorry, Jay.
no, go ahead.
But and you're absolutely right. The only thing I wanted to add to that is that little person is still in there, right? And they're still wounded. Going through therapy, even if it's a childhood trauma, in my opinion, I feel like it's going to help serve the adult version of
Mhm.
you when you start healing the little person, right?
Right.
Because if you don't, that little person still remains hurt and damaged within. And it's
Yeah.
just going to continue to go through different relationships. It will show up at some point, right? And we may not connect the dots. And
Right.
therapy is where I think those dots may start becoming clearer. The picture becomes better or more in color for you, perhaps. And I
Hmm.
think that that's important because, again, we don't want, again, to stifle the little person within, and an adult version is acting out whatever those childhood traumas are.
Yeah, because literally, in my perspective, when you go through a childhood trauma, time stops in that
Yeah.
moment of that hurt, and you don't know it. And it could be years later, and something happened, and next thing you know, you're responding like that little child. I don't know if I said it on this platform, but um, I was like 26, 27 years old. I never dealt with the little girl in me for years. And I just really started deep diving into it most recently. But in this particular instance, um, Larry Reed, who is my chief apostle, but he was my pastor back then too. And they asked me what I wanted for my birthday. And he bought me an easy bake oven.
Mm.
I had never in 20, it was 26 or 27 years, never had an easy bake oven, but the way it hit me, it triggered I cried like a newborn. I mean, it was an ugly cry because that one gift opened up the floodgates on where I was neglected all of those years and was not able to experience childhood because I was an adult as a kid. I was taking care of two kids. I had my own place at 15. I had a job. I was doing everything about it. And I was out of my mama's house at 15. So, you know, it's going to bring those up. It could be a smell, it could be a toy, it could be anything. But just like Keisha said, if you don't deal with what happened as a childhood, and I'm saying as a child, because one, Crystal also put in a group, and I'm gonna just throw it out there. That's my LS. But
Okay.
Crystal, Crystal put in there about oh, let me go back to her comment. Forgiveness is for you, not for them, because again, it's how you interpret it, whether regardless of how they gave it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the forgiveness as a child, you have to forgive yourself as an adult. You did not allow that child to voice her opinion before now. And I know it sounds crazy, but you can do it. And if you need more tools, hit us up. We can definitely give you some tools to help you. And then if you need some referrals, we do have some referrals to some therapists that could help you. There's some resources out there if you need to pay self pay. They do it online. We can help you get that information, Gwen, because you're not alone, right? I'm glad that you're here.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're voicing it, and we want to help you. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, no, those are all great questions, Gwendolyn. So I appreciate and thank you so much again for sharing it and being transparent. Shay, we also see you in here, and we saw a couple other people. So if we omitted your name, then we apologize. While you guys are on, if you don't mind clicking like and share, that way the content will get out to other people who may be experiencing or going through the same things, and they would be find this episode very beneficial. So
Mhm.
please like, click, and share this episode right now so that we can get the content out. All great points, Jay, and I appreciate you elaborating more on the therapist's perspective. Me myself, again, I've gone through therapy as a child all the way up until adulthood, and again, trust and believe. If something happens where I'm unable or unequipped to handle tomorrow, I'm calling my therapist
Mhm.
and I'm getting back on her calendar. Again, this is something that we are suggesting that you have to kind of normalize, at least having the discussion, right?
Mhm.
And we all know family members or have family members or friends, associates, whatever, peers who are dealing with something and they may not quite be dealing with it in an effective manner. And it's okay to encourage
Right.
and support them in their therapy journey.
You're right, right. Because you need support. It's a
Yeah,
village. It takes a village. That's not just for children.
yeah,
It takes a village because again, you're not by yourself, even though it may feel like and you may see that you're by yourself, but you're really not. When you open up your mouth, you don't know who else has been through that similar situation. You know, when I was a child, and I went through my trauma, I did my first attempt when I was 17. And now, just like my therapist back then told me, you didn't want to die. You didn't want to be dead. You wanted to die, which means I wanted to escape that situation because I'm not going to shoot myself and try to dismember myself, nothing like that. I wasn't going to go out the hard way. I took some pills and I just wanted to sleep it off. But I woke up apparently, but I had to deal with what got me there. I dealt with the fact that they wouldn't let me graduate. And these all it may seem very elementary now, but
hmm,
they wouldn't let me graduate high school. I worked hard on
yeah,
my GPA and National Honor Society. I couldn't graduate high school. Then my mom was so everything. She was just a lot. Then her husband at the time was a lot. I'm still trying to raise two children, which was her children. That was a lot. It was just, and then I lost my scholarship. I think that is what tipped me over because now I have no way of escape. I felt like I was stuck and I wanted to unstick myself. But again, even then, when I called myself trying to unalive myself, my mom and them still laughed. I remember as I was drifting in and out, what you want me to do? Call Dr. Kevorkian? I remember it like it was yesterday.
mm,
And even so with the therapist, I had to deal with what got me to that point. I had to deal with that point, and I had to deal with while I was going through that point, what was said to me, and then I had to get tools to be successful afterwards.
yeah,
Because in my life, I felt like everything I had was gone. And so people get to that point and because it was a young lady on TikTok, 22 years old, right after her birthday. She unalived herself and left a whole note. People show signs, one. Two, and if that's you, you need to be able to get to someone quick. One, don't post it on Facebook because a hashtag, that's where that topic is going to be good. You
Yeah.
know, healing is not a hashtag. If you really need somebody, if you call the right person, say, hey, I need help, you spoke up.
Yeah.
Right? There's an 800 number for the suicide hotline. I don't even know why I'm going down this lane, but you want to
Somebody
be
might
able
need.
to, yeah, you need to get some type of help because it is real. It does happen. And we don't know, you don't know the struggle until you're in it. Why a person, sometimes people really feel that there's nothing left out there.
Mm-hmm.
And when it really is, we just have to help find it so that you will have something to focus on to continue to hold on. So if
Absolutely.
you're feeling that way, there's help for that because we need you to talk to somebody and get it out. I would rather you talk to somebody and come visit you than you don't talk to somebody and we see you for the last time. That's a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah. Good point, Jay. And I'll also add to this, right? So this it just we talked about this is September the 5th. It's approaching. This is the season actually when
Mm-hmm.
it is at a higher risk, right? So again, as she said, I want to reiterate, if you're at a place where you know you're either approaching crisis or you're in a crisis, seek medical attention
Mm-hmm.
immediately. Immediately.
Immediately.
Do not wait.
When we say immediately, don't 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 go to jail, don't pass go, don't collect 200. Get there.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
need to get there. There's help. There's help, and it does help. And you may need to be on something to help you navigate. Pills don't ain't that some of these pills really help you. We're not saying stay on them that you get so dependent on them to the point where you're like,
True.
I need my medicine, but sometimes you need a little help me to get through it to where you can start dealing with stuff,
Yeah.
right? And it's okay. And that doesn't mean you're crazy. It means I'm I'm actually not crazy because I got help.
Yeah.
And I think maybe that's what makes it so taboo too, is the fact that people think that it shows that they're weak or crazy.
And you know what? I think that stems from the community. I think we put
Yeah,
that out there. I,
right.
I don't know that it was something that was external that someone just said, okay, well, we're going to start telling them it's a crazy thought. No, I think
Hmm.
that again, it comes from, in my mind or my experience, maybe ignorance, right? Is
Right.
probably the better way to describe it. Um, because they may have been thought or taught that it was weak, that
Hmm.
it wasn't going to help you. The situation already happened. You don't need, any number of those things, all of
Hmm.
which are untrue, which is why
Is
we're
that
having
true?
a conversation. It is important to address those things that do not fit well with us in our spirit. And if it continues to come up, and then a lot of times I want to also say, as I'm thinking about it, it doesn't show up how the situation initially happened, right?
Right. Right.
And I know that to be true because I was watching the news the other day, and the doctor said that a lot of times they're noticing a lot of teenagers now dealing with mental health issues because either their parent being very young and not noticing or knowing that they
Hmm.
went through postpartum. And so they
Right.
may have withdrawn or neglected the child, and that child not knowing that they needed the nurturing, the care from their mother,
Hmm.
and it's causing problems later in life.
Yeah.
So it may not have, certainly, I don't think it was intentional, but long story short, we don't want to to have issues unresolved and unaddressed because they're just going to continue to resurface.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna go out on a limb, and I may get some smoke from this, but
Okay.
you can't always pray it away either.
Ooh,
Is
good
that a
point.
helpful component? Yes, for those that believe. But when people say, well, just give it over to God, Let me explain something to you.
Preach, coach.
That's not an all. And I am a God believer, but I'm being realistic.
Yeah.
You can't just say give it over to God because no, you're not going to dismiss it. And that's what happened to a lot of abuse in church because they want to, well, let's just pray about it. No, I want you to go kill them or they need to go to jail. That's the only prayer we need. And I had that told me. I had my mom tell me that when her boyfriend jumped on me and when I left home, she said, let's just pray about it. There's and I didn't like church at no more at that.
Yeah.
Granted, I went back because I do love church, but look what it made. But that is not an answer. And if you're a spiritual person, more of a religious person, you're a religious person or a person that's in church, quit telling people that because your antics in church don't resolve mental issues or emotional issues. It doesn't. You're not giving them good advice.
Mm-hmm.
To tell them just to pray and let it go and let God. If that was the case, he would have been did it. If the truth be made known, because you was a child. So let's be more realistic when we're helping people navigate their emotions.
Mm-hmm.
And if a person in church hasn't told you, I think let me give you information. I got a therapist you could talk to, then they're really not a person of God because you would know the difference. And I also want to add that all emotional health is not mental health.
Mm.
It is a difference. Most people that are bipolar, it deals with your inability to balance your moods, which is your emotions. That doesn't make you mental, even though it classifies as mental. So quit telling people you crazy. Quit telling people, I'm bipolar. No, you're not. Stop it. You're not. Quit telling people, well, I got nervous. I got panic. No, you're not. You ain't been clinically diagnosed. Stop it. Because you're
Or
speaking it over your life.
anxiety. That's another word that they
Yeah, I
use.
got it. That you ain't on nobody pill. So stop. I could tell you what anxiety looks like because when I had that situation at work, I could tell you what anxiety looks like. You like you're having a heart attack. And until you get to the hospital and being told that it was a panic attack or anxiety, you don't have anxiety. And don't use smoking weed as the reason that you need to do it. Let's just go and hit it all. Because people self-diagnose
Yeah.
and they self-medicate instead of going to get real help. That's just the bottom line. You can't smoke yourself and heal.
Yeah.
And I'm not against y'all smokers just because I don't do it, but you can't. You can't drink yourself down.
Yeah. And when people start drinking, I think that's just going to cause uh, other issues down the line. Certainly
Mm-hmm.
because you never addressed the initial issue that it was. You never got to the root of the problem.
But alcohol is a depressant
Yeah,
anyway.
that's
So it's
true.
like it's literally making you fall deeper.
Yeah.
Like literally, that's why you're crying.
Yeah. I, yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing the opposite. You're trying not to think about it, and you're going to think about it because that's what alcohol does.
Yeah.
Like you're still crying.
Probably even more so, more. Um,
Right.
Here's a question I want to ask, right? Because some of the viewers that we have children. We have
Mhm.
children, grandchildren. When the kids are young,
Mhm.
do you openly have the conversation or let them know that they're in therapy? Or is that a conversation or is that a word that you shy away from when dealing with a child? Because they may not even understand therapists or psychiatrists or counselor.
I would navigate that with caution
Okay.
because if they're like a 5-year-old, well, we're just going to go talk to the doctor.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, the doctor, they're not going to take your temperature, but they're just going to talk to you. They're not going to give you a band aid. They just want to talk until they really understand the magnitude of it,
Yeah.
right? If they're older, then be honest. Say, hey, this person is a therapist. This person is a psychologist. Because mostly they use psychologists for pre-teens up until I guess the early adolescent time. They use more psychologists and they use therapists.
Okay.
So I would have a conversation, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell my 5-year-old. I'd be like, well, we're just gonna go talk to somebody.
Right.
Remember when you was upset and you said this and you did this? I want you to go talk to this doctor so maybe they can help us understand why you said it or why you did
Yeah. Yeah. So transparent moment here also. It's crazy.
it.
This just came to me. I remember being I must have been maybe 8 or 9, I don't know. We lived in New York, and I was going through some business cards that my mother had in a booklet, and one of them was a psychiatrist or a therapist or something of that nature. It's like, who was going to a therapist, right? I just got it. Who was going to a therapist? Why you got this card? She looked at me. She said, "You." I said, "Oh,
Wait a minute, wait.
right, okay." I said, so I asked her. I said, "Well, what did we talk about?" And she said, "I don't know. I wasn't in there. You were in there." And and then I started connecting the dots. That's why I asked the question.
Mhm.
Whenever I talk to this person, I remember vaguely, somebody coming and talking, having a conversation, whatever. Next thing I know, we moving to Alabama. It's like, but for me, what that taught me was, I'm just being transparent, not saying it's
Mhm.
right. Watch what you say to what you're saying to. Watch
Yeah,
what you say and to whom you're saying it to.
right,
And that taught me a lesson. Whatever I'm dealing with, figure it out. That
right.
was unhealthy. I'm
Mm.
telling you right now, that was unhealthy.
Well, you felt like it was blindsided or
I think, in my opinion, now as a parent, it deserved more of a conversation other than
Mhm.
me concluding, oh, wait, I remember now talking to this, whoever this person was. I don't even know if it's a male or female. And then shortly after, everything changed. We
Mhm.
left New York, we moved to Alabama, and now we're on this new journey. There was,
Right.
in other words, there should have been a lot more conversation. Maybe she didn't think I could handle it. I don't know.
Oh,
But
okay.
if I was old enough to look through the Rolodex and figure out that somebody was in the talking to a therapist, I
Mhm.
feel like there should have been more to the conversation
Yeah.
so that I don't conclude to myself, oh, me speaking to her, she said something to my mother that said, okay, maybe this is not the best environment. Maybe I'm doing some whatever. I don't know.
Mm.
And then we moved to Alabama.
Mm.
So that's
I
why
get that.
I asked, do you think it's healthy to be able to say to your kid, okay, and I agree. I think it depends on the age and the context of
Mhm.
what was going on, right?
Right.
If it's some behavioral issues, or if that person was dealt with in an assault way, right, a sexual assault
Right.
way, or any number of things that they, to some degree, you owe. Well, I don't want to say oh, I will say there's a level of responsibility in terms of a conversation so that that person, the child, doesn't have to draw their own conclusion. And when they
Right.
start asking questions, if they start asking questions, then be able to share with them from a place, where you are or were as a
Mhm.
parent, and then what you observed or what you saw that person going through.
Right.
But yeah, so and that period where I kept things, to myself, that lasted quite a bit. I would say at least until my, gosh, maybe late 20s, I would
Mm.
say. So that's quite a bit of time for a young, from what, 8 or 9, all the way up till that's 20 some odd years.
Right.
Yeah, close to 20 years.
Yeah, you feel
But
it's
from
your
that
trick.
one experience, yeah. Yeah, I remember.
Mm.
Listen, I ain't telling you nothing. Okay, we can
Right.
talk. And I'm gonna watch what I say. Shit, I ain't moving no
Right.
more. We about to
Right.
go to Alaska. I
Right.
don't know.
But some parents don't know how to navigate that conversation. I know my
True.
mom, she was more concerned about getting me to a doctor to see if I was having sex than it was
Ah,
even think about what issues else was having.
yeah, yeah.
So that was her path. But then my mom, believe it or not, was that one that everybody got the one time like y'all know how she is. That was my mama.
Yeah.
Everybody said that y'all know how she is because they knew something was wrong. I'm
Okay.
not saying my mom was schizophrenic or nothing, but we know there was some emotional defects that
Yeah.
was there. And when she passed is when I saw the medicine and saw the medical reports. And I'm like,
It's making
I knew
sense
it.
now.
It's making
It's
sense.
math. It's
But
math.
yeah, and then too, she was a hoarder. She had and because of her stuff that she had, I kind of pretty much concluded that she had bipolarism because one of the manics, most bipolar individuals, bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. But most bipolar people have two manics. This is when they're either on their high or either on their low, but they either have too much sex or they have a shopping issue where they spend too much money.
Mm.
And my mama, I think she was a little bit between the both, but when we cleaned out her storages and realized that she had bought chairs and dining room tables and I'm sitting there like, are you serious? Where's all this stuff going? And I'm like, I kind of put two and two together. But yeah, she was that one people say, y'all know how she is. Now just let her be now. And I'm like, no, like I can't. And because what we try to do is make people accommodate the person that has the problem instead of dealing with the problem. And even when, yeah, she had a whole deli, the kind you slice meat like this in her room.
No.
You can't even walk. What you
She
doing
gonna
with
make a
her?
deli sandwich.
What? It's brand new, still in plastic. I got it down there in the cabinet. You can't walk. She had a kit. She asked me to buy her a KitchenAid mixer. She can't get up out the bed, but I bought it because that's what she asked for.
Yeah.
She had in this mahogany box gold cutlery. You can't get up. So yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
But in the same sense, when you know that there is like one thing that we normalize, we're not if my daughter don't want to hug you, she don't have to.
Don't make
And she did not want to hug my grandma for nothing in the world after a while. And and instead of how we used to be for going over there and give him a hug. No, it's a reason why I don't want them to touch me. And that was ignored when we were growing up.
Yeah.
No, if she don't want to hug you, I'm not making her. Now she ain't gonna be mean to you.
Right.
Like I ain't gonna, let her be disrespectful. But if she
Right.
say no, she says no. And everybody ain't your uncle, and everybody's not your auntie. We definitely don't do spending the night.
Yeah. Same here.
Yeah, no.
I
I don't even want them to. I don't even really want them over here because I don't want you to say nothing happened. No, okay, leave them, let them stay home.
Yeah. Well, I have another situation that was, and again, I'm being transparent. Like y'all getting listen, we doing story time over here.
Listen.
But listen, so I think this is important, right? Especially in the LGBTQ community, or even outside of LGBTQ, right? I was sitting back in my former life. Let me give that disclaimer.
Come on, former.
Very early on in my military career, I was dating this young lady who I later found out had been diagnosed with multiple personalities. I think I shared this before. Anyway, long short, I think, or I feel like that person kept a lot of things from me because either past experiences and or she didn't trust whether or not I would stay around.
Okay.
That's what I believe. Now, my opinion, no, I would not. And I'm going to tell you why. And I'm just being honest.
It was the way you did it, though. It's the way you said it.
Let's speak. And after I explain, maybe it'll make better sense. For me, I'm in my early 20s.
You living your life.
Okay, man, listen, the world is my oyster.
Right.
But my point is the things that she was dealing with mentally, I was not equipped, nor did I have the emotional intelligence to deal with myself and her and all of the things she was going through. So had she told me and been honest with me up front, our situation would have looked very different. And sometimes that's a risk that I feel like you need to take, because when you're dealing with someone else, don't dump your stuff on me and I don't even know really all of what's going on, because I may genuinely like you and I may genuinely rock with you, but when you're being deceitful and dishonest and sneaky in a way, right, or not really explaining everything that's going on with you and all the whys, you know what I'm saying? It just didn't make sense for me. So when you explained to me that you have 21 different personalities, listen.
21? You counted them?
She showed me the paper.
Oh, no.
I said, listen, and matter of fact, it was in October. I said, listen, Listen,
Well,
and I
which
was
one did
honest.
you like? But which one did you like
Man,
better?
listen, this is my former life. But uh, uh, I'll just say again, all of the stuff she was going with, I could not, right? I just couldn't, right? Even at 50 now,
I wouldn't. It went
21.
it went from couldn't to I wouldn't. No, I'm
Listen,
not. I wouldn't do it. But you know
yeah,
what?
but give the
But I'm
people the benefit of the doubt to be able to
give them the
make their
benefit of
own
that.
choice.
But I'm gonna throw this out. That's a lesbian thing. We love other women that's sick and got issues. And that is a binder in our community because I've noticed that, and they were like, well, they understand me. No, you go get yourself together because I ain't gonna lie. Before Shay, it was a young lady that wanted to talk to me, and she got so offended because I told her, like you said, I can't deal with that. And I said, I'm not going to, I said, I don't want to marry somebody just to bury them.
Mm,
Like, I'm not that type of lesbo.
yeah,
I'm not going to walk you down the death aisle and love you to the end. You need to come healthy because I
yeah,
want to live a part of my life health. She was so mad. And I said, I don't, I don't. You're going, and I told her, you're going to run my life insurance up because I would have to put you on my benefits. Now, if we in a relationship and something happened, we're going to deal with it.
different story. Yeah,
But coming in, no, I don't want nobody with all those issues.
yeah,
Absolutely not. And when I was in Atlanta living my free life, every girl seemed to have an issue. Oh, I got this, and I'm dealing with this and this, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll talk to you later. You just me. You just don't get nobody. I say no. It's not about giving you a chance. Again, I don't date. I don't marry to bury. I can't do it. That's not like you said. It's no, that's a lot. And most people need to be okay with you're too much. If you get sick while we together, we're gonna ride this thing out.
yeah,
But if you came in with two legs, I meant for you to keep walking with me. I'm not,
yeah,
no,
yeah,
I'm about to push you back in. Let
yeah.
that shark finish you off.
And now I do want to be clear. I'm not saying for you not to share things that are going on with you
Yeah,
or things
please
that
share
you've
it.
experienced or even diagnoses, right?
Mhm.
What I am saying is at least be honest with me
Yeah,
and don't let me find out months in, 6 months, 9 months, or we're making plans and then you want to explain
pop
to me
out with
why.
number 4.
Well, no, you want to explain to me why you take these medicines every day because at some point I'm going to ask you and I expect you to be
Hmm.
honest with me. Well, it's for this condition or that condition or what have you. Fine. But be honest with me and let me know. Even if you're in therapy, right? I think that's a healthy discussion to be able to have. Listen,
All right.
I'm at a place where I'm healing and I'm going through a lot of things and I'm working through these things,
Hmm.
right? I'm being honest with you and you can, either stay or you can go or whatever. But if I'm distanced from you, then don't take it so much as offense, but ask me at a place or at a time where we can talk about it. And if I feel
Right.
safe enough or comfortable enough to be able to share that with you, then I'll do so.
And I think that takes a level of maturity that
Yeah.
some people really just don't have. Because if we'll see it, especially in our community, those are things where, yeah, well, how we'll see when they want to unalive their partner because they're having a mental break. You knew that that chick was that way. She showed signs. You probably should have let it go and then think you can, as a woman, our thinking is that we can heal the next person or we can help them when in all honesty we can't. And to your point, be honest, be open. Because me, if I see a certain pill, I'm going to Google it. And if it ends with OLE or something like that, I know it's either for a bacteria, a virus, and I need to know what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
Like if it's mixed, if it's a dome, I know that we got some pain somewhere. I need to know what we on. Why are you still taking these pills?
Yeah.
Like I don't need you leaning, and at that, and you have to be okay with somebody walking away
Yeah.
because if you wasn't honest to tell me, I would have looked at the pills. I would have found them, and
Yeah.
I'd have been right on Google.
Yeah.
What is this for?
Yeah. Well, see, for me at the time, Google was, I mean, this is what,
Oh,
91,
you ain't have Google.
90? Yeah.
You had to go
So
to the pharmacy and say, "What is
listen,
this?"
I gotta trust this lady is telling me this is what it is. Okay, well, you're a little droozy, a little well, okay, fine.
Right.
But that lady had. You listen, that's a whole nother story time. If you want to hear
Yeah.
the actual story, drop me
Yeah.
say
You
story
need to do a
time
story time.
in
You
the
need to do a
comments,
story
and
time.
I'll put it on the live. I'll tell you that.
Hold
Listen,
on.
you won't
I'm gonna put it
believe.
in there. We need a story time. Yeah,
Right.
story
So it's a couple
time.
thing I want to add while she's typing story time in there.
I
We
need to
want
know.
to right. We want to flip the script, right? So and again, that's why a large part of this segment in the next couple episodes with mental and physical health is that it is power in asking for
Mhm.
help versus trying to deal with the situation on your own or thinking it's going to go away, it's going to work itself out, or I can pray it away.
Mhm.
All of those things are not necessarily going to be of service or help for you.
Mhm.
Seeking therapy, a psychiatrist, a therapist, a counselor, or something along those lines
Mhm.
is a healthy way to gain tools, to continue development, and to recognize maybe even triggers or things that you didn't understand to be so
Yeah,
before. So it's not a bad thing.
it's a good thing.
Healing yourself versus healing generations. I think that's very possible, but it's going to
Yeah,
take a level of normalcy. Again, we got to dismantle the what goes on in my house stays in my house.
yeah.
That's so what 1990s. I don't know what they saying nowadays.
Man, that's from the 1800s. That is something that's passed down.
Yeah,
Don't be telling people my business.
yeah,
But you got on the phone and told everybody my business.
yeah, yeah,
Like, come
yeah,
on.
yeah,
No, but I think you're absolutely right. And I 100% agree with getting help and normalizing getting help. Stop using TikTok as the new WebMD. Stop self diagnosing yourself.
yeah,
And really, because it really just, you could just be having a bad day.
yeah.
So you don't want to wake up and next thing you know, you diagnose yourself with autism and it ain't don't even exist. Right?
Yeah. I agree. Well, listen, we're approaching, we're not quite there. Thank you, Shay. The end of the program or today's episode. Again, if you are in need of any of those services and you are uh, not able or unable to find some, reach out to us,
Mm-hmm.
right? We have a website, regalmindset.com, right? We
Mm-hmm.
utilize that. We have some resources there on that page, but if you're still unable to find some, reach out to us. We'll tap into our resources and we'll make sure that we get you somebody that can help, so that you're not out here feeling alone and without resources or without help.
Yeah, you can inbox us on YouTube. You can inbox us on our individual Facebook pages. You're not by yourself. That's why we do this, is so that you'll know you're not by yourself. And I think everybody deserves some type of help and love because if not, you're going to dwindle away.
Yeah, yeah. Or again, hurt people really hurt other people. That is a true statement. If you
Hmm.
are hurt and you've not healed that hurt, you're just carrying that around in your little suitcase till you get to the next lady. And then you're
Hmm.
gonna dump it on her along with her stuff. And now she
Right.
got stuff that don't even know don't belong to her because you never dealt with your stuff.
And you also, and another reason why you need therapy is because you may not know. Like, for example, especially the studs that feel like they need to go in there and be the daddy and take care of 30 kids. Let me
Mm,
explain something. That is a trauma response. There's some underlying hurt of rejection, abandonment. Those trigger those type of responses, and you
save
may
it.
not know it
Yeah.
exactly. So you may think that you're doing it because you love somebody and that's you. No, you're doing it because you're responding because you didn't get it. And that little girl in you is telling you, I want to make sure that I do for them what wasn't done for me. So I'm gonna go in there and be their daddy and their savior. I was that person. And I learned pretty quick to make my kids.
Yeah.
And that ain't just in the relationship I'm in. That was before. I always dated somebody with kids, except
Yeah.
maybe like two. I don't know. Either way it go, they had kids.
Yeah. Well, I saw on social media the other day, and I shared it with my wife. I said, when you're dealing with somebody and they've not cleaned up their mess,
Mm-hmm.
and you all are dealing with each other, their mess can cause a disruption in your peace.
Oh man,
You don't want
want it.
that.
You don't want it. You
Listen,
don't need it.
fix your stuff so it don't interfere with my stuff. Now, if we got stuff, we can fix our stuff.
Yeah,
And if we need
right.
to add another person to help us fix our stuff, then we could do that. But fix your
Mm-hmm.
shit because I don't want your shit disturbing my peace.
Listen, my house is clean. I don't know
Okay?
about yours.
Listen, and I
Mm-mm.
don't want my shit to interfere with your peace. And if my shit interferes with your peace, let me know. Hey, this is
Right.
a problem. You need to fix
Exactly.
your shit. Hey, I got, big enough boxes on. I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
I fix my shit.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. It works both ways. What's
all
that
right.
song? Hold on. What's that
Yeah.
song? I'd rather be with you and all of your bull. No, I don't.
At all.
I don't agree with that. I don't
At
want to
all.
be with you. I'd rather go find somebody to do or be by myself. I don't want it.
Okay. Listen. Yeah,
Mm-mm.
I ain't doing that. All right. Well, listen, I appreciate everybody who contributed to tonight's episode. Again, therapy isn't taboo. We can normalize this. We can change and heal
Mhm.
generationally. But it starts with us. So let's go back and continue the conversation. Have other people conversate with you, figure things out. If you need to go see a therapist, a psychiatrist, a counselor, or what anything along those lines. If you need a
Mhm.
coach, very different from a therapist, then make sure
You
that
got it.
you reach out
Yeah.
and find those resources and make sure that you can fix your life.
Yeah.
Reimagine, redefine what life would look like for you.
Come on, with it, Iyanla.
Iyana, okay? I love her
Listen,
show too.
a coach. Yeah, a coach is not a therapist. We're
Right.
not dealing with the past. We're dealing with where we can move you forward.
Yeah.
And if you ain't ready, go get a pill, one of them little pink ones, a little blue or a little yellow one, and get yourself together and come back and make an appointment because I don't have time.
Not Skittles. Okay.
Mm-mm.
We're not getting Skittles. Skittles are not going to fix you. I'm going to tell you like,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
All right. Listen, we will talk to you guys next week. Again, keep a regal mindset. And again, if y'all want to hear that story, drop story in the comments.
Oh, it's in there twice. Go ahead. You're going to drop
I
that
got you.
story.
I got you.
You
I'm going to do
dropping
a
that
story
story.
time. All right, y'all. Take care. Have a great weekend.
All right.